of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have community forum. Is there anybody here for something not on the agenda? Okay. We do have one conflict of interest declaration. It's Herman for Egstead Repair. Do I have a motion to approve Herman's conflict of interest? Motion by Ashley. Do I have a second? Second by Mason. All those All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as printed? Motion by Jeff. Do I have a second? Second by Hickson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Communication and discussion items. DGR and Pitts is going to go first with their presentation.
Right here?
You can grab this mic too if it's easier for you.
Okay. Very good. My name is Trent Bruce. I'm with DGR Engineering, and with me is Ryan Wood. He's going to hand out some of the stuff we're going to talk through today. And then also with us is Pitts Design and Build, the contractor that's been selected for this project. We're partnered with this from the design all the way through the construction of that. Jim Weber and Elliot Coughlin, and they're going to talk through some of the constructability and things like that after we talk through the concept and design of the playground improvements and track and field reconstruction. So again, Trent Bruce is my name. A little bit of background. About 4 months ago, the school board selected DGR Engineering and Pitts as the team to facilitate this. 2 separate contracts, one for the design and one for the construction through a CMAR process. And I won't go into a lot of detail about that process, but the intent of what we're here to do tonight is to talk through what we have accomplished since that time in the way of design and putting together some preliminary estimates for costs associated with future track and football field as well as the playground. Ryan's got a few extra sets, might not have enough for everybody, but as he puts these together, he'll pass them around and get a few sets of the exhibits to folks as well. So, two components of the project. One is the playground and upgrading the playground from what we currently have to a more modern play set designed for 5 to 12-year-old children. When you're working with playgrounds, that's a big component of it, is exactly what you want to try to fit. And working with the team, that's what we set our design on, was that 5 to 12-year-old concept. So the playground that you see there is one of the concepts that we worked through. We went and got options from various suppliers and vendors of playground equipment. And when we did that, I came back with 4 or 5 different options. The one that you see in front of you that's depicted there is a concept that was provided by Dakota Playscapes, and they're associated with Playcraft, and almost all playground suppliers or vendors have a particular vendor that they work for. So this one that you see is specifically a Playcraft play system, and they're a national renowned firm that does this type of work. They're popular in this area. In fact, Dakota Playscapes makes a living just putting their systems in and around the area. So it's something that we're certainly comfortable with moving forward with after the decision to use that as the preferred option. So that's what we're moving forward with there. Just a couple of things that went into to the conversation as it relates to the playground improvements it does not include the existing blue and yellow climbing structure that's out there. So the replacement of that is part of this. The Dakota Playscapes concept that you're looking at, it would be ADA accessible, which is a requirement when you're using public funds to facilitate age 5 to 12. The play structures are customized based on a few things that were looked at. Got a zip line, a neutron carousel. Some of those are depicted in what you're looking at there. New swing set, disc swing, an arch tire swing. We'll have a border around it to help keep the fiber mulch, the wood mulch in place for the new play set area. And the way that this would work, or the way that we're presenting it to you to consider, would be the direct purchase of the play system through a program that is called Omnia. And Omnia is a nationwide system that a lot of school boards use to direct purchase their playground equipment. Very seldom do you go through a different process. That's the most popular way of doing this. And then you hire somebody to facilitate the install and construction of it. So that's what we are proposing to you as the best way to go about that. I'm going to talk through the track and field, and then I'll certainly open it up to questions to the board or the general public as necessary here. But that's all I have on the playground at this time. Once some decisions are made, we will go forth with more complete renderings of this and can be able to provide a little bit more. But the vendors don't want to put that level of effort into it until they know that they're going to have a contract to do it. So it's cart before the horse type of thing. They just don't want to invest the money until they hear from the board that this is definitely where you want to go and what they want to do. So we'll work with them as you make some decisions going forward. The track and field. What we're proposing with the track and field is a replacement of the entire track, as well as regrading of the field and then replanting it. And when we talk about regrading of the field, we would reshape that to facilitate some drainage, better drainage, and what's a common football field elevation grading design, if you will. That does require a little bit of material to be hauled in to build that to the proper elevations. So that would be part of that process. The new track would be an 8-lane track. There was some question about whether that would fit inside your existing light poles, and it does, barely. So the outside lane would be close to the very nearest light fixtures out there within a few inches, but that's not uncommon to have just a few inches between the outside lane and some sort of barrier, in this case light post. But even if you were to go to some more sophisticated track facilities, there's only a couple inches between that outside lane and the bleachers or whatever have you. So it's not uncommon to have that. In the future, if you wish to relocate or replace the light fixtures, you would obviously move them a little bit further away. But this would allow for you to have a full 8-lane track facility. So that's what we're designing it to. Would have a new pole vault approach and pad, new long jump approach and sand pits, a new high jump approach and pits in that east area of the track complex there. That would be all asphalt and with the high jump pits there. We would add some bleacher pads and some sidewalk for more accessibility in that area, particularly on the north side of the track there. And like I said, we'd reshape the football field to improve the drainage, and then we would include some storm drain and sub-drains to properly drain the facility. You may not think that that's really important, but when you have wet conditions and you are practicing on it and you are irrigating it, it's going to be important to have the proper sub-drain system installed in that. So the existing crow's nest concessions and bathrooms would remain using this concept. One of the things we did talk about was what that could look like in the future, but we wanted to try to minimize this initial phase budget to facilitate just what you need to do to have a functional track and field system, and with the understanding that all of that could be added in the future as funding was available or the needs were necessitated. So, price. What we're looking at for price for this is the playground system itself is going to be about $300,000, and that's furnish, install, and design, and all aspects of that. That could be installed this summer. Obviously, if the decision wasn't to move forward with it immediately, you could delay that, at which time we'd have to go and solicit new pricing for this, and it could increase it. But the pricing that we're looking at right now to do the purchase, install, and the design of the facility would be about $300,000 of the project. The football field, as you see it depicted there and shown on the exhibit, that's about $1.9 million. There are a few things that we could do for cost savings if that was important, but we feel like this is about as bare minimum as you'd want to go, at least at the initial recommendation. We're working, like I said, with Pitts to facilitate that, but if you subtract out some of that other stuff, you'd have to sacrifice something. And what would you sacrifice? Well, maybe some of the concrete that we have shown for bleacher pads, or some of the curbing around the edge of the track. Sometimes that's sacrificed, and you can save yourself $50,000 if you wanted to do that. We like to think that your track is going to last longer if you have that curbing, because it holds the edges together longer and better, so we would certainly recommend it. But if we have to find ways to cut that back a little bit, we would do so. And then with your general engineering, testing, and other related costs of about $200,000, that would bring this total project cost for the playground and track and field system to about $2.4 million. And that's as it's depicted right there in front of you. That would be something that we could certainly, like I said, cut back if we needed to, or we could add to it if the board felt that there was funding available to do some of the other work that we had talked about. But that gets you your 8 lanes track, gets you a regraded football field with upgraded drainage, and it provides you with a brand new 5 through 12 play system in your playground with new wood fiber mulch in there. So that's what I have for a presentation as to what we're talking about. I do want to talk just a little bit about timeline as it relates to what we could do, and then I'll open it up to questions. But if the board were to elect to move forward with this project as presented, we would bring that forward to you with a full set of plans and more complete documents. We're at about 60% right now. We have a set of plans that represents what you're looking at. We did that in order to prep Pitts to put some pricing together. So that's, we have to finish that up obviously, but if we were to move forward with that, shortly after your next board meeting, we would start soliciting bids from subcontractors to do the actual work. We would go forward with the procurement of the playground system, so that would be here in time to install this summer, and we could get started on that early summer, late spring, with an understanding that it could be completed this fall. That's how Pitts has generated their pricing for this. What does that mean? It means that you would not have a track for the track season. Your track's in rough shape anyway, but that would be out of commission for the track season. Your football field would not be available for this fall's football season. We would hope to have it regraded and planted back in, but you need a full year of growth before you should access that again. So you would lose this coming football season. If you were to choose to delay this project, you would lose a football season regardless of when you did that, because you'd have to take a few months to get the work done, and then you just want a good, healthy year of growth before you access or allow for play on the football field. So, all that being said, all of this could be done in the October timeframe, November timeframe this year, and then you would just have to wait and allow for that grass to grow in and take care of some punch list stuff the following spring, and be fully operational the next year. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the board and address any questions that you might have. Or Riley, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this as well, so I'll turn it over to you and then open it up.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for them before I get started here?
You talking about drainage, you have a plan in place of where it's going to drain to?
Do you want to talk about drainage real quick?
We do have a preliminary plan in place for the drainage. Yeah, we have a location where it would drain out on the south side of the field. And all you're really draining is the interior of the football field, where the track drains to the inside and the football field drains towards the track, and then we collect that and outlet it
And we move to the south.
to the south.
Anybody else? Questions for him before I get started here? Good. Okay. So, if you want to take out that packet real quick and want to follow along, I will go past the new features because he talked about everything he is. The one thing I am going to hit on is that bottom sentence, is we aim to ensure the project is as cost effective as possible, avoiding any unnecessary spending. We are not going to go above and beyond. We just want the basics. We want to just get it in place. So we are going to do as much cost saving as we possibly can. And if you want to go to the next page, it has project cost at the top. So we are still going to stick with that $2 million. Again, we're going to work with Pitts and DGR to see how close we can get to that. But if it's a little over, we'll just pull out of our regular capital outlay fund that we have already. We're not going to ask any more money of the public to give. So based on that $2 million, our current tax levy for the big gym right now is $276,000 a year, and it's going to expire in December. So the reason we want to get this project going is to keep that tax levy going. And if you look below the new tax levy for this project, we already talked, we already got numbers and everything for that will be $140,000 a year. So we're just going to get it $100,000 less, and that will be for 20 years. We did talk to him as well about refinancing, just because interest rates are pretty high right now. So in 4 years we'd be able to refinance. So again, we'd be able to save a little more money there if the interest rates do drop. And overall, the tax levy will decrease, and this will lower the tax burden, and then give our students the better facilities, and it's still lowering taxes for you guys, and that's the biggest thing. And the biggest thing I've heard since we started the project is we don't want some $3.5 million project that started off in the spring. Well, if we can do this for $2 million, that's what we want to do. Our kids still get what they need to get, and the community still gets the lower taxes. And if you look at the bottom here, so the tax levy for this year is 2.815, and then this coming year, so 2025, will be 2.763. So it is going to drop already this year, and then even with this project added on, it will drop another. I'm not going to say how much because we don't know how much yet, but probably another 10 cents again would be my guess. So whether or not, if say this project doesn't go through, it's not going to all of a sudden drop $1. It only dropped about 25 cents. So doing this project, even with that 2 million, is still gonna drop it, and our kids still get it, but again, the biggest thing for me is just that drop. So, if you want to turn to the next page. So kind of a long, lengthy paragraph here, but the current tax levy is going to be done in December. We want to create better spaces for our students, will not increase in the taxes for our community. Our playground is in dire need of improvements. The pea gravel out there, kind of everything like that. There's a lot of dangerous stuff around there. He talked about kind of that bordering. We're going to border the basketball hoops out there as well, because we've had a lot of injuries where kids are running onto there, that concrete, and slipping on the pea gravel. So we're trying to make it a safe and inclusive place for everybody. And again, it is ADA compliant, so anybody can use that. Again, our football field needs to be redone. Proper drainage and crowning the football field will help just get it into proper shape and keep it good for a long time. And then the new track surface will create a safer space for our students to run. Right now, I mean, you've been out there, the blacktop is cracked, there's rocks everywhere, just creating a liability for our students, especially during track season, or anybody that runs on it. And then, again, we had almost 80 students out for track, so giving them better facilities. The playground is a big one for me, though. I really want the playground, just because I know we are outside more here than at any school I've ever been at. We have more recess time here for our elementary kids than any place that I've been at. I think it's counting today, it's about an hour a day, which I have never seen. It's mostly like 30 minutes that kids get. So just having those new facilities for our kids are going to be huge. And then the last part there, and then we'll create more opportunities for tracks. A lot of teams in our conference don't have tracks, so we'd be able to host conference meets, we'd be able to host a lot of different things here. And it's not how it used to be with track. We have one guy come in and bring an FTE system, and it just runs very easily. You only need about 6 people to run the whole track meet nowadays. You don't need the 30 people that you needed in the past. So, on the capital outlay certificates page, okay, this is I'm just explaining, okay, what it is. Capital outlay certificates are a method to pay for major projects only out of district's capital outlay fund. This does not impact our general fund, which is used for teacher pay. That is a very, very important thing to understand. It's a completely separate account. So used for facilities, used for different things like that is with capital outlay, and then the general fund is our teacher pay and different things like that we use. The school board will vote in the March meeting whether to move forward with this project or not. And then for those who are against, I want to make sure you guys understand, okay, your rights and everything as well. It can be referred to a vote upon a petition signed by at least 5% of registered voters in the taxing district and filed with the governing body within 20 days of the first publication. So when we vote on it, say it's voted yes in March, we publish it in the paper, and then you would have 20 days to write a petition and then get signatures for that from 5% of voters in the district. And then if you want to turn to the very last page, again, this is just going over exactly what I went with. The only real one is the bottom one. If it is voted yes with no petition, like DGR said, we're going to move as fast as we can to get this done. Hopefully within this time frame and this year, we would love to get everything done, get everything ready to go. I already talked with Huron. We would be able to use their football facility for our home games. There was only one game on there that was a conflict, and I already talked with the state, and we'd be able to move it just the day before. So really there'd be no conflicts whatsoever. We would just have to pay a facility fee over in Huron and go from there. So I will leave it to you guys. If you guys have questions for me, just please let me know.
What, for the playground, what will the ground be that is outside of the border areas of the
So what she asked is what's going to be on the outside. So we're going to move all of the pea gravel out of that space. So where it's going to go is going to be on the south side of the playground, close to the fence, over kind of by the basketball courts. So everything from there will be completely moved out of there. There still will be pea gravel at the old playground, but everything else over on that side where the playground's gonna go will just be like the concrete or whatever's under there, but the pea gravel's gonna be completely moved out of there.
And I have another
Yeah.
question. If this starts before school is out, is your plan to have recess inside for the kids every day?
No, so we are gonna work with them to where we wanna get started, if we can get started on the playground, they'll get started the day after the kids are out. I would never do that to our kids, so, yes. Yep, yes. It's amazing.
So who does the measuring and,
Those 6 people. So all you need is the field events. What's that? No, the 6 people during those field events. So you have one person for one person running the long jump, one person running the triple jump. So
one person has got to record everything, pull both ends of the tape and measure it?
oh, excuse me. Well, we have our kids to do that. So I'm just talking about like the adult workers that will need to take off time or anything like that. So yeah, the kids are there to do that. So. Correct. Yeah, so if anybody wants to rent our track out, which we will keep that open, they would have to do everything on their own. They would just have to rent our facility. Yep.
So I know when we kind of had a committee that started this project last year, and I brought up, was there any thought or process, like Amy, when we visited about using some of the capital outlay that we currently have for this project? And then I had asked kind of like, what is a good number that you'd like to remain at, to have in your capital outlay fund for the school? So it looks like you're probably gonna take 400,000-ish right now. Is there any talk about possibly using more of our capital outlay? Or where are we at after last year's conversation?
So we haven't come up with a true amount, but like, we're also talking about doing some more school improvement projects here too, so we'll use that for that too. Plus I know like this doesn't include bleachers.
That was also my next question, I know, because that was like a huge concern with watching people go up on those bleachers. You just hold your breath, especially after, when they're my age and older. And, you know, how would that be addressed? It sounds like possibly as a future. So we would, with this cost, we would still be utilizing what we have.
Currently, yeah, we're going to be utilizing what we have. Again, that's something, if you do have one of these, he talked about how we do have concrete pads going down. Again, bleachers are a very big cost. And so if we can use our bleachers as long as we can, we would like to do that. If we do have money, again, we want to be fiscally responsible to where we're not just spending money to spend money, but being able to do that in the future with budgeting it out and just making sure we have that money. Yep.
It's on the radars.
Yeah, it's, you know, that was, I know, like, our biggest concern at that point, the bleachers, and especially the ones on the west side of the crow's nest there, you know, so that's why I just kind of wondered what the talk was with addressing that in relation to this. Did we ever kind of get an estimated cost for that? Didn't we have some quotes from before?
Yeah, a long time ago we got.
Yeah, it's been a while. I can't remember.
You know, was it a 500,000 ballpark, 200,000?
I think it was only like,
I
I
don't
just
50.
recently looked at bleachers because I was looking at it for another project, and like, you can get like an appropriate size one for about 10,000 per bleacher system, so that you're not going super high, but you can really get them narrowed down so that we could do fundraisers or different things like that to help cover some of that cost.
do you guys have an idea?
I do,
I mean-
yeah, yep. So a couple other schools that we work with, and one of the reasons we don't include bleachers into our stuff is because we try to focus on what's the construction gonna cost and that piece of it, because the construction side of it, it's hard to piecemeal. Once you have a contractor and a contract to do that work, you want to try to get as much bang for your buck out of that. But the other stuff like bleachers and whatnot can be added on and often is, or purchased separately and brought down after the fact. But yeah, I think that you're talking about the $10,000 setups. What I would tell you is for what you need here, $50,000 would be a good budget number for some bleachers, and they might not be everything that you wanted, or maybe it's more than what you were anticipating. But $50,000 would go a long ways to get you some bleachers that were, I think, adequate and better than what you have. But again, that's on top of everything that we've talked about from a construction perspective.
Yeah, I just feel that needs definitely to be part of it because of the liability of what we have and what, I mean, you just hold your breath when those older people go up and hope they just don't slip off
And I do know when we looked at them before, they were the stadium, so they would fit right onto our crow's nest. And I
Yeah.
think they were roughly about 50,000
I remember visiting that.
for safety of the,
Yes.
Yeah.
I,
And there will be other things that I just wanted to warn you about that you'll have to think about. You'll have a brand new 8-lane track system that you're going to need a brand new, or not all brand new, but you're going to need to probably add some hurdles and things like that. Some of your other stuff that's coming along. So some of that stuff it's not included in this construction cost, but it's going to add to the little pieces that you know. So it would be good for you to have some cushion in there, especially if you're going to look at it holistically, but bare minimum to get your new football field and track system built without the addition of some of those purchases, you know, that's what we want to focus on first, and then certainly all those other things that you might want to add to it going on. You guys have a better feel for what that is. You know, do you need new pole vault pits? Do you need, you know, whatever that is, it's not included in these numbers.
thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions for us?
How long is that surface last on the track?
How long does the surface last?
Yeah.
So this is an asphalt surface that we're proposing. It's not going to have the rubberized system on top of it. Correct? We didn't include the rubberized system on this, right? Just asphalt? Oh, you did. So this does have the rubber on it. So you're looking at a good 10 years of fully functional. You might see some rips or tears that you'll have to repair and replace, and there are people that are in the neighborhood doing that. So this does include that rubberized track system within that number. So a good 10 years. They'll last longer than that, but you might have to fix and repair some things. And there's ones that we've designed and put in that have lasted longer than that, and there's others that have had to put some extra money into them over time. So
Is there maintenance on that? Because remember we visited about Miller's, whatever happened with Miller's, they didn't have, what,
You know, yeah,
is that what it was? Because I can't remember what the deal was with that.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, we would strongly recommend that you add drainage. There's a lot of that seems to be a common place where we can cut costs, and you can up front. You can take drainage out and cut costs up front, but you'll have problems 1, 2, 5 years down the road. You'll get your track to start to do this, and we've been talking about that from a geotechnical perspective as to what we need there to make sure that we got a good adequate drainage system and try to address that so that we don't have that maintenance. If you have a good drainage system, that'll generally keep that nice and dry underneath the track, which will minimize the heaves and whatnot. But over a period of time, just like any street, sidewalk, anything, you're going to see some things that you're going to have to repair and replace. And
We're inside the code.
Yep, exactly. The freeze-thaw cycle will, it'll eventually crack everything somewhere. You just try to minimize it and control it.
Anybody else? Yeah?
Yeah, the majority of the water is gonna soak into the football field. The drainage that we're talking about is just as it infiltrates, it'll work into a drain tile system and eventually out. It's not a large system that's, draining a significant, we're not creating a whole lot of new surface in what you are. We're just trying to collect it so that it doesn't settle in underneath the track or pond on the football field. So will it look a little bit different? Yes, but there's some natural drainage to the south that we're going to utilize, and we don't have any intentions of creating any harm or adverse impact to any of the property owners to the south of the field. So there's that row of trees that are there right now that a lot of this will drain through once it's all outlet. So.
Anybody else got anything? How many track meets a year?
Are there?
No.
Like, that we would host? That we would have? Well, it depends if if there's other schools that are gonna have a track meet. Usually, you have 2 or 3 from your own school, but sometimes if you can rent them out and they run them, you could have a couple more. It just depends on how many can fit in the schedule and whether it snows too much or not.
Because there's, within 30 miles of us in every direction, there's 5 really nice tracks, and 1 more at 50 miles. To get people to come from other schools to bring a track meets here.
But I know, just talking even with, I was on with Jeff Clark about our project, and he's up in Hiscock Tulare. They would he said more than likely they would just come down here if we had a track, so they didn't have to use Miller's. So I think, again, we don't want to wear and tear it down to where we have a ton of track meets, because we want to keep it nice and we want to be able to use it for a long time. But I know usually, just in the past, I was a track coach, we would have about 2 varsity meets and then have a middle school meet as well. And then just depending on who comes. But we're in a pretty centralized location with a lot of B schools around us, so having a track meet here, we would attract a lot of people here. So
I think it was said that the 281 conference doesn't have.
yeah, between there. So between all the areas outside of the track, there'd be more than enough space for tents and everybody to be around the track. I would like to stay off the football field if we're redoing it. Absolutely. So everybody should be able to fit all the way around the track. We have more than enough space, especially on that east end with the trees. But yeah, there'll be more than enough space around the football field to hope to get everybody in there. It is not out of the picture. We have it to where we could close it if need be. And again, future plans, we would like to really make that a parking lot in the future, just because if we do have, track meets and different stuff like that, parking is not the greatest. Especially I just think about people that are elderly or have handicap. There's not a great place for them to park without having to walk a long ways. So again, future plans, we'd really like to make a parking lot out of that to be able to fit and be able to host everybody in there. So. Yeah, but they can go on one more road up. So. Correct. Yep. Yeah. So we would be the only person in our conference. So again, there would be another added track meet to where we would host the conference track meet. Because do they usually have them in Miller? Yeah. So they usually have them in Miller.
How many track meets would Panther this year?
Probably a lot.
And they control that track. So they decide they have to control gets it track.
Yeah.
The coach you got was there, she would say how difficult time she had getting any track results. Because you have a schedule that gets canceled, well then you can't get it. If we have our own and we're running the extra, whatever, then we're pretty much guaranteed that we're going to get it. If you have a specialty like javelin or pole, you're really limited on what tracks. There's no tracks around here that have snow, red ones, going on here.
Dismit doesn't.
Dismit. None of them have
They don't have all day events.
Javelin, those type of things, so as we've grown that, and, we had 6 people go to see track meets.
Will we have javelin?
Yeah, we will have javelin. Yep.
So, good on that, and put us at into the program, so we had a lot of kids make the mistake in football with the facilities we have without the track run, they can use it. So if we give them that opportunity, who knows?
And I know, like, at my last school, we didn't have a pole vault, so our kids would have to drive 45 minutes twice a week to go and practice pole vault. So just having all those facilities and having those extra things, it makes it pretty lucrative here because there is not a lot of small schools that have those things right now. Yeah.
What is the plan for where you will have, say, the pole vaulting, or not pole, the javelin throwing during the track meets?
So the javelin throwing is on the football field. So that's where we want to try and stay off of there with the tents and everything like that and have them around. But javelin, that's how it is at most schools.
Yep, and it's usually like the very first event of a track meet, and then everybody, then they can clear that out, so then people can. Another thought here is that a track's not just for track meets or track practice. It could also be part of a classroom. I mean, our PE students go outside and learn on the track also. So that's another aspect of this, is that there's still an educational side to taking them out there. Right now, if we take our kids out on the track, we don't know if they're gonna trip and fall and come in with a sliced knee because they land on a rock. And so it is a liability, and we want to try to give the best educational experience to all of our students that way too.
And it will be open to the public as well, to where you guys can walk on it. It is a softer surface to where if you have bad knees or ankles, that you'll be able to do that. And I know just in the elementary, we'll have field days there to where kids can come and run and do different things. So it will be utilized, very much so, and all the kids will use it. So. Anything else? Any other questions that you got for us? Nothing? All right, awesome. Well, we appreciate you guys coming. Very, very much appreciate it. We want to make sure that we get you guys all the information that we can possibly give you guys to where you guys are informed. You guys can talk to other people if they're not here. We are going to have this meeting put on YouTube to where people, if you want to tell people that they can go watch it there, and if they have any questions or anything, please direct them my way. I'm in the office. I want to make sure people understand what's going on and make sure we can do this the right way with everybody involved. So again, thank you guys. Thank you DGR and Pitts for coming down and presenting. And then we'll be moving forward here in March. And then again, if you guys have questions, concerns, anything like that, please do not be afraid to reach out. We are here for you guys. So thank you again.
You guys drive safe. Thank you. You got all the celebrations. Have a good night. Come in.
Very good, thank you, safe trip.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, Amy, do you have anything? I don't. Okay. Thanks, Jim. Leslie? All right, so celebrations, one I played competed in regions a couple weeks ago. We had some students receive individual awards. They placed, like, I was told fourth-ish. But we had a couple students with top superior, Cat Science Officer, Moshe Richmond, and then superior Colin Hughes, Ken Williams, Dr. Sawyer Nelson, Ashton Hill, and honorable mention was Connor Beal. Thought they did an excellent job. They performed it the Friday night before, then they performed it on Monday for the school, and then they went to regions on Wednesday. So congrats to their advisors, Mrs. Jensen and Mrs. Hook. Oh, I'm going to add another celebration up there. It's actually later, but we had 4 students qualify for esports state championship, which is going to be Friday and Saturday. So Jackson and Jaden Eggleston in Mario Kart, and then Jevin Zerfus and Connor Beals in chess. So congrats to them. First ever esports state championship. They'll be attending in Aberdeen. So that's a great celebration. CTE teachers and I attended a meeting to discuss there's a new framework coming down. It won't be in place next year, but we have to start working to through that, so that will be implemented in the 26-27 school year. And we're working on rolling over the certifications that they have and what they're going to be qualified to teach. And probably it will not change what they can teach now, but it might add to what they can teach. So one thing on that, we're really seriously considering adding in a senior capstone experience, which allows for 20 hours of shadowing, presentation, research paper, letter of intent, a product. They have to put together a portfolio. So I'd like to consider making this a graduation requirement. It would be a class for students to have to take, and then they have to choose an area where they want to do the research and where they want to shadow, and hopefully it would be a career planning, whether I've had it in the past where a student is like, no way, I don't want to do that ever again, but here's my presentation. It was good I got to shadow for 20 hours and figured that out before I went to VOTEC or college to finance. So something we're looking at offering or mandating the seniors to do. But it really is a great experience for kids. I was involved with it for, I think, 15 years in my previous district, and it really did, it was eye-opening for a lot of kids. So, and it brought them through the whole process. But it is a CTE course, and you could qualify as part of their plan of graduation. So.
Would that be something that, say they have a full-time job in sports, or is it something that they would be excused, like, so they could possibly do 2 10-hour days or something?
To be honest with you, I think it would be great if they would do it on Fridays.
Okay.
Like, this school is, it's really set up perfect because then they can go shadow on Fridays. The only hiccup with that would be the dental world, because they don't usually work on Fridays, but sometimes there's an office or something that does that they could maybe get into, but If they, yes, they would be excused for their hour. And if it's something that's close, you know, they're gonna have a class time and deadline set up, and they could miss that class time to do their hours. So, yeah, it would be definitely, there's a timeline and everything that the kids would have to meet, and we would have all that set up before the school year. So, but yes, they would be excused if they happen to be here. The seniors just got done doing the NCRC testing last week, working with teachers. I got them onto middle school and high school onto Microsoft Teams, and inside there then there's a staff notebook, and this is where we're going to communicate with walkthroughs, observations, and those things. So they'll be accessible to them immediately instead of waiting for me to print it and go through that. So it's good feedback. They can look through that and see it right away, and then if they need to meet, we can. We had a family engagement team meeting last Friday, which went really well. We looked at 2 Fridays ago now. 31st. We looked at the survey of CAT data and set some goals for middle school and high school. And then on Friday, we're going to continue to work with our full staff in service on implementing those goals and what we can do in the next year or two to work towards that. A couple more things. We have the National Alliance for Mental Illness coming in to present to the students. I missed the date there. It's February. It's next week. I think it's next Wednesday. I'm sorry on that, but they're coming in to do some speaking with our students in 7 through 12. And then this week is FCCLA week, and next week is FFA week. There's some activities that the clubs have put out. I know they're doing trivia this week, and root beer floats and orange floats on Thursday for $1 to raise a little money. And then next week FFA has a bunch of activities planned. And lastly, at the end of February here, the juniors are going to tour the Huron CTE facilities as a part of that grant that we received and we will be part of next year, and try to encourage a few. We'd like to at least get 5 students to go to that, because that's the minimum that we're committed to. So that's our goal, is to take them there, tour it, and see the facilities that they could be part of. Any other questions? Thank you. Riley?
All right, so we got our first full day PD on Friday. Pay from family engagement will come in and do this PD. It'll just be from 8 to 12, and then the teachers will work the rest of the time after that until 4. So these bottom 4 are kind of the main beliefs that we're going to work on. Shifting focus family engagement is going to take a lot of time. And again, when I talk about goals, this is one that's going to be 3 to 5 years. It's a long process. We're going to keep working with Peg for at least the next 2 years. I already talked to her, and she said that they're probably going to be willing to fork over even more money to come, just because of how well it's been going and the participation that we get with it. So that's going to be exciting for that as well, to be able to just keep partnering with them. And that will bring a lot of good stuff for us. So kind of those 4 main things. That research shows that exemplary schools and family engagement practices all share the same belief. All families have dreams for their children, want the best for them. All families have capacity to support their child's learning. Families and school staff are equal partners, and the responsibility for cultivating and sustaining partnerships rests primarily with school staff. So those are the 4 main things that we're really going to focus on Friday. And again, we'll continue to do PDs with our staff in the coming years. So it's not just going to be we do it 1 year and it goes away. This is going to be a continuous process that we're going to keep on doing. Legislator-wise, went up here to the voucher bill meeting that got shut down. So both of those got shut down. One was a little worse than the other. It was like 9-6 vote. The other one was like a 8-7 vote, I want to say. Very good learning experience. I never want to be a legislator. It's awful. So I will say that. Some things to kind of look through that could affect us. It kind of just affects schools that they kind of have these as the main ones. Dual credit. So right now it's like 70, is it 60-40 or 75%?
30, isn't it like 30?
Okay, so I think it's around 70% gets paid for right now, and they want to drop it down to 50%, which I don't think it's going to make a huge issue, but it is going to make families that want to pay are going to have to pay a little more. In the end, it's going to be $300 to pay for a college course instead of 1,200. So I think a lot of people will still do it. I don't think it's gonna change much, just a little more money on top of that. Now I want to show high school students an abortion video, so we'll see where that one goes. Post and teach the 10 Commandments. So right now it's passed the Senate, it still has to go one more. I think it's one more vote. They think this one's going to pass. I don't know why or what, but pretty much what it entails is that every classroom will have 10 Commandments in it, and then they want to make it part of the curriculum. The main argument right now is separation of church and state, and why are we going to teach kindergartners about adultery? So, yeah, and so we'll see where that goes.
There's a training tomorrow. I'm sure that's one of them, wasn't it, that I signed up for? So there's a training tomorrow if anybody wants to listen, sign up. Training. For the school board. I'm not sure what it is, but it's on school.
It's a training or it's just a webinar?
Well, I think it's assuming it's a webinar, but this wasn't anybody I'd ever heard of. I honestly don't even know what I did with my phone. Do you have it?
It was church and state issues.
Yeah. So it's just.
Oh, yeah, this must be on 14. Or no.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Once I get everything from it, they usually send me an email, so then I'll send it on to you guys, so you guys can watch.
And then the last one was establish a maximum administrator salary. So they want to make it so administrators can only get 3 times what your average teacher pay is. So it won't affect small schools, but those bigger school districts, it will affect quite a bit. The example I give is the new lady, or they were paying Harrisburg, or the T superintendent took the job at Harrisburg. Harrisburg's last superintendent was making $220, and if this bill passes, they'd only be able to pay her $180. So it's a pretty big discrepancy once you get to the big schools, and I would imagine people would leave because of that, especially if they have the ability to go to the bigger schools. So doesn't really affect us, but again, those bigger schools. So Meets Trailer is done, and then we'll have training come up in March. We will have Cora and Leah go for that, just so that she can use, or Leah can use it in her consumer classes, and Cora can use it in her classes as well. So try and get as much usage out of it as we can. It is awesome, I will tell you that. It has absolutely everything you could possibly need for food processing. And from my understanding, they are going to try and get it to where if, say we get quarter beef, that we would be able to process it and then we would be able to use it in our school as well. So and all the meat is donated from Wall, and they're hoping that nobody's ever done this in South Dakota. We're the first people to ever do it. So the state's got to kind of figure out how they want to go about doing it. But if we could do that, that would be a very cool thing where the kids could process it and they could see how it comes and where it goes and all these others.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome. The weight room is very, very close to being done. Thank you, Brian, for everything he's done up there. It looks, right now, if you guys have a chance to go up there, it looks awesome. So we just have the rest of the painting to get done, and then we are going to order the turf for it, because that was in the plan before, and then that thing will be done, and then we will open it up right away to the community. So I'm very excited about that. It looks amazing up there. So it turned out awesome. So last thing is we are starting to look, me and Leslie are starting to look ahead at next year of where we're going to have people, just to make sure we can. The biggest thing is making sure staff knows way beforehand, so that way we're not in the summertime telling them, hey, you're going to teach this class next year. Just not fair to them. So we should have a plan in March or April once we get kind of schedules and everything's set to where everybody's going to be, and then we'll bring that and make sure everybody knows what's going on with that. So that's all I got.
There wasn't anything from my central report.
A few things. There was a resignation for an SLP, so board gave approval to advertise for an SLP, speech language pathologist. Specific locations that they're going to list that in are Lyman and Delazy. So hopefully we can get somebody in this area, because it's for one of the higher districts that use it, so. The prepare training that I brought up last time, they didn't give school names, so I don't know if you replied to them or not, but they had two that had interest, but they're looking for additional, as Plaque will serve to host that 2-day workshop if we're interested. So if you're interested at all, they're looking for you to reach out to them. Behavior management program, evaluation, so specifically for you two, I need feedback for the next board meeting. They're looking whether they want to continue with optimistic TV or explore alternative programs. So there's a CPI program, and that's a leading provider for trauma-informed de-escalation training, and then there was a safety care that they're looking at. I can get you some more information if you don't have those notes from the meeting.
No, I have
Okay.
done that CPI training though, and it's very good.
Yes. So I'll get you what I have here on these, but I just would like some feedback because they're looking for feedback from you guys to take back to that next board meeting and what your thoughts would be.
Thank you. Do we have any committee reports? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Herman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mason. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Mason. Action items, new and unfinished business. Is this what we went through?
So I sent you guys the audit,
Oh, yeah.
or last week was it, or something? Now just basically, state's approved it, it's done, so just you're approving.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 audit?
Motion.
Motion by Ashley. Do I have a second? Second by Terry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Open enrollment.
We only have one open enrollment, it'll be a 9th grader, and it'll start the 4th quarter.
Do I have a motion to approve a 9th grader starting 4th quarter of this year?
So moved.
Motion by Jeff. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Herman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Summer program.
Okay, so in the past, our summer program has been federally funded. It will not be federally funded anymore. I am proposing to keep on doing it. It would be the same exact thing that they've been doing. But we would figure out numbers-wise in April and May, where we're gonna be at. And then we would base how much the summer program would be. I think we figured it out. If we had about as many kids last year, it'd be about, was it $30 a week? And that would pay for all the paras, so we break even on it. I don't want to lose money on it, I'm going to be honest with you. If we're going to do it and we're going to run it, I want to be able to at least even out with the staff that we're going to pay. We're going to do the same thing how it runs with our after-school program, to where for every 15 kids we would have a para, so that's why I want to get a set number of how many kids we're going to have, and then base staff off of that. We're not going to go over or anything like that. And then we'll have some guidelines put in place where we won't feed them, so they'll have to bring their lunch. They'd have to be able to like care for themselves, because like we won't be able to have a one-on-one pair or anything like that, special education wise. And then I think, is there anything else that we talked about with that?
They would have to bring their own snacks.
Yeah, snacks and lunch, they would have to bring their own, and then just that $30 fee, which daycare, I think is probably less than daycare, I would imagine, a week. So that's what we would plan on doing as of right now. So still run it the same way we did that last summer, with Lacey doing it, and then just go forward from there. But just to make it at least to where we break even, I'm not looking to make money on it, but if we can at least pay our staff through it, that's what I'd like to do, so.
Do we think through hardship programs with it, and those who maybe can't do the $30 and what that looks like and what we can base that helpful?
Yeah, and then, so we'll just base that off of, our free and reduced.
Okay.
To where if we have anybody, that is on free and reduced, then we would be able to, well, we would provide for them the right lunch and snacks as well, so it'd be pretty plain, but we would provide for it.
Boosters, if they don't do, you know, when Lacey emailed us, she said we did not do the field trips. Maybe if we ask, like Boosters would donate to either do a field trip or do snacks or do something. So I think if you ask enough, like if you would put it out there, people would help and people would maybe pay for those kids who just don't have the funds.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was thinking PTO. I thought too, maybe some of our local businesses
Yeah.
would sponsor a trip or
Yeah, absolutely.
pool passes or
so yeah,
whatever that might look like.
when it gets closer, make sure you reach out to me for sure, because yeah, Boosters
Yeah.
would absolutely help out. Any questions on the summer program? Do you want a motion?
We should
Or-
probably, just since it's different, since it's gonna be different this year, we should do it different.
So we are looking for a motion to charge $30 per week per child.
Right?
What?
$30 a week per student.
Per student.
Yep.
Per student.
So $30 per week per student, for the length of the June session. Just the June session,
It's 3 weeks in June.
3 weeks in June.
What we call
Yeah.
Okay, the students will provide their own meal. Motion by Jamie,
Second.
second by Mason. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And I'll make sure to get with Lacey to where we have this information out so everybody understands what's going on. And that way they can make a decision whether or not you want to do it, but at least have all the information out there so everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah, the sooner we get it out, then maybe some of those that need to budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Surplus 4 sewing machines.
So we had 4 older sewing machines in high school, and we replaced with some newer ones, so just want to see.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mason. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Preschool busing.
So I want to get your guys' thoughts on one of the biggest things, especially with our preschool program, which I do like, is having those half days. The issue is that we're running into is parents are not able to get their kids to the school to be able to do it. So a lot of them will take them to Huron, to where they can go to preschool and daycare in Huron. And if we could, or if you guys would be for, driving to each of the daycares in town and picking up the preschoolers. There is no laws that I have seen. When we were in Martin, we bused preschoolers from school. And again, I haven't found any laws or anything like that that say you can't do it. So we would just take a minibus or a bus, depending on how many kids that we have, and we would go to each of the preschools. We'd pick them up, and then we would drop them off at the daycares in town. So.
You talking 3 stops?
Yeah, I think it's the 3 daycares in town. Yep.
What's the overlap between like the first and the second class?
So the only one that we would do it for would be the 4-year-olds. So that would be the only one that we wouldn't do it for the 3-year-olds. I just think that's too young. But the 4-year-olds, that is there in the afternoon. So we would just send somebody, me or whoever, to go, just to go to those 3 stops, pick them up, come to school, and then just drop them off at the end of the day. And it doesn't really overlap any, like, we don't lose any busing or anything like that, so.
Any other questions? Do I I have a motion to approve preschool busing starting next year?
Yeah.
Jeff? Second by Terry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:40? Motion by Jamie,
Second.
second by Mason.